My name is Andrew Cohen. I'm lactose intolerant, so I went nuts.
And I'm Ari Cohen, and I'm lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant, and soy intolerant, and I've also gone nuts.
And we are Mr. Dewey's.
We're a dairy-free,
Soy-free,
gluten-free
ice cream alternative.
When I realized that I was dairy, gluten, and soy sensitive several years ago, I had to change my diet. And in so doing, I had to cut out things like ice cream. And that was sort of the impetus for starting Mr. Dewey's, creating an ice cream that was dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free, and also, just as importantly, additive-free. There's no gums or oils or preservatives or additives in our ice cream. It's very important to us.
And I just missed ice cream. When he started creating these ice creams, I was his taster, and it was so good. And I thought, let's just bring this to market because of all the other people out there who can't do ice cream and are also looking for a creamy, delicious alternative. So we did it. It's delicious, and we hope you think so too.
Unlike a lot of ice creams, we pump no air into our ice cream, so in some ways it's more like a gelato. It's very rich and dense and very creamy and very flavorful, intensely flavorful. So we use very few ingredients, but the ingredients we use a lot of, and I think that's what makes it such a special, and what makes it such a healthy and special ice cream. Andrew and I are both brothers, born and raised in Berkeley, and so this is, for everybody in the Bay Area, this is obviously a local product, but most recently, to our happy surprise, it is getting picked up further and further out. And in fact, maybe you can talk about where we are now.
So right now we're based in Oakland, but we have been picked up in Seattle, up in the Washington area, Oregon, all the way up in Northern California, and then down now through to almost San Diego. And it looks like in 2015 we're going to head east a bit into the Rocky Mountains, maybe even touching in Texas. We can talk about how delicious it is all day long, but until you try it, you won't believe how good it tastes. Our slogan is, once you try it, you'll go nuts too. Bye. Thanks for eating. Go nuts. Connect with us, which we'd love. We'd love if you liked us on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and then our website, of course, www.mrdewey's.com.
Stolichnaya Premium Vodka, 40%. Okay, it's 40 fucking Stolichnaya vodka. I am going to drink this in one chug. And if you don't believe me, I'm about to prove it to you. Okay? One chug. Ready? Here it goes. Oh boy.
Yeah, my situation was a little bit unusual in that I came into the scientific career quite late in life. And as I say, I already had a child when I started my PhD, and I had a second one before I took the job at Erie. So although I was a recently minted PhD, I had these two children, and I think that made it both easier in some ways and more difficult in others. Easier in the sense that I never had that kind of univision luxury of just being a graduate student and thinking only about my graduate work. From the days I first started graduate school, I was always juggling family and career, and I never questioned that I had the children to care for at the same time that I was trying to pursue this career. So I think in my own way, I had to really get in shape mentally and emotionally to be able to handle both. And when I went to Erie, as I had mentioned earlier, the hardest thing for my family was that the spousal employment opportunities were so limited. And I think maybe it's not that that's any more important if you're female and your spouse is male, but in those days it was taken for granted that the scientist worked and the spouse was somehow able to make do in an environment that did not involve professional employment. And I think as more and more women have come into the field, it's become more and more apparent, not just to Erie, but to many overseas organizations, that the employment of the second partner in the relationship is equally important to the well-being of the whole. And I know that Bob Chandler, as the first DG, recognized this. But clearly, the living environment is most conducive to the well-being of a family if both spouses are happy. And so in my case, the upheaval was that my spouse was not well accommodated in that environment, and that eventually caused us to leave Erie. But I do think that on the other hand, the challenges of being female in science are really just in finding the right blend for that complex little society that is your family. And it's the same whether you're in the United States looking for a job where the two of you are trying to accommodate two different sets of interests, or whether you're going into the international arena. The questions are usually different for females where it comes to child rearing and childbirth, but there you just have to pick your partner, I think, and that's a negotiation between you and your partner, how you're going to handle that. Giving credit to the incredible changes that have happened, I think both socially and in the professional climate. There are more and more women in these fields, and so there's less of a feeling that you're a pioneer now. You're not that unusual, and you don't have to feel that you're out there breaking ice or somehow representing your gender. That you're just now an individual, and that makes it a lot easier. I think it's much more difficult when the entire culture is only one gender and you're the odd person, because you do stand out. On the other hand, sometimes it's an advantage, you know, you enjoy it. You're special. You're automatically noticed. You get a lot more obligations sometimes because people want the female representation on their committees, and I think I did serve on a lot more committees at Erie in my day than maybe I would have to if I were there now. But on the other hand, I never felt that I was overlooked. I always felt that people really took notice and tried their best to make an arrangement that would work. So, you know, I have not experienced, I've experienced difficulties and challenges, and I think we all do, but mine haven't really been oriented around the gender issue.